Welcome to Beauty Business Matters. I'm your host, Susan Routledge, and I cannot believe that it is our anniversary. It is a year since Beauty Business Matters started. And what a year it's been. It has been such a journey. And for me, it has just been awesome learning from so many experts and reflecting on their journey. And, I just feel that we're all in the same industry or related industries, but everyone's story is so different. So, I feel like we should have cake. I feel like we should have balloons. I feel like we should have some poppers. But what we've got is we've just got some fantastic clips. So we have Arif Isikgun, who would talk about his journey. Arif's actually been a guest twice, but everything he says is so good. So, we've pulled out some real snippets there. We've also got Josh Yardley, and Josh talks about how Princess Diana was his first client, and his journey has been amazing too. We've got some emotional parts as well. We talk about some of the toughest times that we've overcome, and we talk about that with Paul at Clipsham and how that affected salons. On top of that, we've got Mark Maloney, whose journey in professional beauty has been so vast and such a fantastic journey and still going on. On top of that, we've also got Ronan Percival, and that was our very first episode. And that was, I've known Ronan since Forrest very first started, from when it was just a very small team, and now they're like global, and the software that they supply to salons has just expanded so much, and we've been very proud to have them as one of our sponsors as well. So I hope you enjoy this episode as much as myself and the team have enjoyed pulling it all together. So relax and enjoy. So we're starting off with Arif Isikgun. Arif's been a guest twice because his story is fascinating, and as well, everything he says is just golden nugget after golden nugget. So we are delving into where his journey first started in the industry. And this is just such a fascinating journey, where he got scouted by some of the biggest companies, and then it's just evolved from there.
I fell in love with the art of transformation. I love the fact that beauty products make you feel a certain way. Definitely when I was suffering with acne at such an early age in my life, and I saw what Roaccutane did to so many of my friends and people that I knew, I didn't want to go down that route. So I wanted to find kind of natural solutions. And it actually took me to being a Saturday boy in a very conservative shop at 17 years old, selling beauty products. And I was selling a pot of cream, which was, I think at that time, £245, Orchidea Imperial by Guerlain. And I was 17, I remember. And one of the area managers of Guerlain was just doing a spot check visit to this little department store called Brad Beer's Perfumery. And they saw me selling this cream with no experience whatsoever. And they invited me to interview for John Lewis Southampton. And then at 18 years old, I worked there in Southampton whilst doing my degree. I built that business. I then was headhunted to Selfridges. I was one of the youngest assistant managers, where I quickly became a trainer, and I was kind of catapulted to working in events as well and education, where I was a skincare specialist and fragrance specialist. And I actually was working in Harrods, Selfridges, all along kind of Oxford Street, and launching exclusive fragrances with the perfumer Thierry Vasset at the time, which was amazing for me. And then from then on, massive successes with huge launches in Selfridges. And I said, oh my goodness, that this could be like my calling. I could do this as something that I wanted to achieve. And then I climbed the ropes. I went from LVMH to L'Oreal. I was one of the youngest business managers in Selfridges at 23, 24. I had a 2-point-something million pound business, 25 members of staff I was looking after, which was amazing. And then I went to do more education. And for me, I was always educating, and I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. So I worked corporate, national sales manager. I don't want to bore everyone, but national sales manager of Hourglass Cosmetics. So I looked after the entirety of the country. I spent some time in Canada, Miami, in my mid-20s, and I wrote their training. Launched them in Harrods, grew, multi-million-pound businesses, and then I wanted to learn how to do it myself. I was sick of corporate life. I wanted to kind of put my mark on the industry and do what I loved, which was my art of storytelling and impassioning and doing retail sales the way that I always wanted to do it. Because I think when people see growth, they just assume something. They assume that you followed something that's already been done for you. But I was creating all of this for myself. So I took the plunge 5 years ago and I launched my consultancy.
So now we're going to move on to Josh Yardley from the Smart Group. And Josh was such an awesome guest and gave so much in the episode around, where he started from humble beginnings. But then his first client was Princess Diana. So it's like, you just don't know where your career is going to start and take off. So this, I think, is just one of the real nuggets. So I hope you enjoy this part. Where did your career originally take you?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, we do have to go back a few years, to be perfectly honest with you. After kind of education, I went into retail with some big organisations, mainly retailers. The Burton Group was my graduate training. Yeah,
right.
So we're talking thousands of shops over lots of different retail brands, and that gave me a real background into the mechanisms of retailing products, if that makes sense, from design all the way through to sale. And it was big, and it was rough, and it was tough. And whilst I was in that field, I had a friend that owned a beauty salon. Oh. And he had been away to Florida, had seen a product range of personal care products and skincare, bought it back, put it into the salon, and it flew off the shelves. And he asked me to have a look at it. And from a retailer's perspective, I could see there's some mileage in it. So I left this good job in London to set up a small business, and we were supplying a detergent-free base of skincare and personal care products. And my first ever customer was a new fancy club called the Harbour Club in Chelsea, and Princess Diana was the first #1 member. So that gave me a little bit of leverage, and we grew the business. And from that, I moved in and got taken over by my largest customer, who was a franchise chain of tanning and beauty shops, and became a director of a bigger business and developed that for 15 years. And again, that corporate world, retailing, customer service, that kind of thing. Left after 15 years, tired, really, just tired of that grind.
Yeah.
And then started up, I had the luxury of having a year off and just gather my thoughts, did a bit of consultancy work for several brands, and then got approached by a German brand to develop a light-based device, a hair removal device. And that would be 17 years ago in July. So,
wow.
So yeah, I teamed up with a person I worked with in my previous life. We started this small business, and the Smart Group was formed. We bought and owned a salon, so we could see what consumers wanted. From a retailer's point of view, we could see and I use the word retailer because whilst we're in this beauty business, we are retailing a service to the end user.
True.
And our competition isn't the salon next down the road. It's other retailers going for the same disposable income from our clients. So we've got to be as fast and sharp as Steve Jobs and his Apple empire and these kind of people in the supermarkets and the fashion houses. So if we're not, we are going to lose some of that potential income. So it's all about customer care. The advantage we discovered or found out that the relationship between a beauty therapist and a customer is really extraordinarily different from anything else. And when you think about it and take perhaps a satellite position and look down, what other industry starts with a stranger one, walking into a location and meeting stranger two taking them into a room and locking the door. Yeah. Stranger one then taking off all her clothes going, can you help me? Stranger two says no problem. And within an hour, a bond is formed of trust. And That is that beauty. So there's a key in the word therapist. So we had that. We distributed our shop and we distributed this product relatively without what I would call kind of the business corporate stress. It was a lifestyle business and it worked very well for 10 years. Had a nice lifestyle. We got everything we wanted out of it. Not with any great personal ambition. I kind of burnt out for 20 years doing the fast building of companies. But then kind of got my mojo back about 6 years ago. We realised the manufacturer that we were working with had lost their interest in the product that we had and weren't developing it. Yeah. So we went off and developed our own. We invested again and we devised and put together working with a manufacturer, a really good quality diode laser on the premises is what does the customer want? And we'd been doing lasering since 1999. So we've got the experience, but it was kind of painful. Back in the day, you had to have a nurse. If a customer had only a few little burns on their legs, they're done well. Very time-consuming and very expensive to deliver, and the equipment was very high. And yet the technology has advanced to a stage where we can be super fast for the consumer, no pain, anybody can do it, and therefore there's an affordability to the treatment. And, we can use the word democratise a treatment, but it sits in that sector of the beauty industry really well. So the business grew. We became probably the number one supplier of lasers into the beauty industry today. Next month we'll have our 1 millionth treatment done on that particular model, 5 years. And when you think we had that COVID debacle in between all that, that's quite a lot. And here we are today. We've now got over 9 different products. We supply both the medical aesthetics industry, where we look to see the new trends, and then our core customer base is that advanced professional beauty salon.
Throughout the episodes, we've really had some great fun, but we've also had some emotional times as well, and not more so than when I interviewed Paul at Clipsham and we talked about the impact that the pandemic had on the whole of our industry, but as well, the good that came out of it as well. Although it was like a really traumatic time, it did give time to reflect, and Paula really magnified her business and really got direction from it. And this is just another great story of like how, resilient everyone is in the beauty industry and how great the industry is together.
Lockdown was so tough for so many people. And yet for me, she says without getting too emotional, it's the best thing that ever happened. Yeah. Because the hairdressers were failing, unmotivated, really poor management skills. They didn't feel appreciated at all. So the hairdressing side of the building was failing. So when we came back July 2020, the hairdressers didn't open. So it was like walking through a hairdressing graveyard to go downstairs. And then it took from July 2020 to April 21 for the landlord to agree that I could take over both floors. And
But I can always remember, because obviously we were all together in Beauty Directors Club at that point. And I think all being together, supporting each other I think that was just so key, that we were keeping each other motivation up, that we can do this and we can get through this. And I can also remember your motivation seemed to get stronger and stronger. And it was just, and I think that's where I started to see the determination that you were going to come back, and you were going to come back in a whole new way. And oh boy, have you done that. So tell us now what happened. Sort of, you came back, you came from like your mole hole.
From underground. I just think I'd spent 22 years 22 years suppressing all my ambitions. It was a really scary time because the business was actually doing really well. We had some incredibly loyal clients that loved our little salon downstairs. But for me to go from renting a basement to signing a 10-year lease on a building that I would have wanted was really scary. You know, it's just you're signing your life away to a certain degree. So as soon as I had the opportunity to take over both floors, I just kept going and kept going. And I had all these mood boards in my head of what I wanted my salon to look like. And as I said, years ago, I'd start looking, and I was always looking at these award-winning salons and thinking, right, that's what I want and that's what I want. So when we eventually signed the lease, we closed for a month. And we went on various courses and had holidays. And I had a team of builders come in and completely refurbish the salon. Spent most of my life savings at that time and just completely transformed it. Transformed it from a at the time, just before lockdown, we had actually created 3 treatment rooms downstairs. We got rid of the sauna and transformed it from a 3 treatment room basement clinic into 5 treatment rooms that we've got now, 2 changing rooms, much bigger staff room, manicure and pedicure, and a reception area that I never had. So
yeah, I mean, the salon is absolutely beautiful. I've still yet to come and visit.
You must come
but
down.
Photographs when you look at it, and obviously, you know, that I've read sort of your profile kind of thing in your award entries and things.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely phenomenal what you've done. But I can remember as well, because when you first started, you with a team, I can remember that because that was the first time you'd had a team way back then, and now how you handle your team now to how you handled your team then is totally different. So again, what changed there, kind of thing?
Maturity, I think, and I'm not very good at letting things go if I can't control them. I like everything a certain way, and I think because I was very frustrated with the salon we had, with the business that we had, I think I put too much control on the team. Whereas now they have so much more control. I'm a lot more relaxed with them. I'm such in a happy place, and the business is just everything I've ever dreamed of. And the team did that as well. It wasn't just me. The team created it. The team they're loyal to our clients. Without them, we wouldn't have clients.
Obviously, to go from the size you were to your 5 treatment rooms, and I know you've got a reception team now.
Yeah.
What did you do to expand? Or was that a natural expansion, or did you have to do lots and lots of extra marketing?
Yes, I did a huge amount of recruitment for front of house when I only had 1. And the team have just, every year, the team just seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. And we've got 12 now, team of 12. We can't fit everyone on the sofa anymore. There was one stage where all of us struggled. I think it was probably January to March 22, where we all thought we'd created this monster that no one really knew. They hadn't found their groove. The team still hadn't really settled into the new space. But then all of a sudden, I think communication, you know, I think we've got about 6 WhatsApp groups. You know, I'm always on the phone. And I think it's just allowing them to be the therapists that they are. They're professionals. They're trained. They know what they're doing. Allowing them that freedom and communication. We all communicate so well. And I've said it so many times. They are an incredible team. They I don't know, more emotion coming up. Yeah, they are a phenomenal team. I'm very, very fortunate that they chose me and I chose them.
We really wanted to feature a part of Mark Maloney's interview because, everyone sees big business and sees that Mark Maloney's done so fantastic with Professional Beauty. It's such an awesome organisation. But, everyone started just with one client. And Mark openly admits that, it was a long time before Professional Beauty was ever a profitable business. And it was just sheer determination and sheer grit that got him to be where he is now. Where did it all start, Mark?
Well, apart from some odd jobs, I've been involved in exhibitions, and we did a show for retail pharmacists, chemists. And one of the brands there, who still exists, Salon System, she's left now, but the marketing person said to me, there's this event in Brighton called Health and Beauty. Why don't you launch one in London? Because they're a little bit arrogant and they're the only ones. And at the same time, they had an event in Manchester, and I went with my sales manager with literally an A4 paper with some stands drawn out, and we'd sold 19 just there and then. So we thought we had something. So our first event was at the Novotel in 1989.
So this is when everyone used to go to Brighton,
That's
to
right.
the Metropole Hotel. I can remember that. And Manchester was in the Piccadilly
That's
Hotel,
it.
wasn't
That's
it?
right.
Oh, my word. Can you imagine trying to fit it into a hotel now? Amazing. So how many years ago was that?
Oh, gosh, 36, 7. I can't. It was in 89 was the first show in the Novotel. And then the next year we went to Olympia, very small, and it kind of grew year on year on year.
So at that point, did you know anything about the beauty industry?
No, I was an exhibition organizer. I knew about events. In fact, I did something terrible, which I put a picture of a person having a massage, but it wasn't. She had her legs up in a slightly not sexual pose, which of course that's not what a massage is about. So I soon learned, and Babtak quite very kindly suggested that perhaps this wasn't the pose, and that was a quick lesson that we learned very quickly. So yes, that was a real faux pas. And of course, in those days, the business was the preserve in terms of the people who visited beauty salons, by and large, were the preserve of the ladies who lunched. It really was the preserve who were quite wealthy, and hasn't that dramatically changed and become far more democratic with so many different people taking professional treatments. Yeah. And that is what really we are about over the years. As you can see, I don't have as enough treatments that I perhaps should, but the respect that the team and I have for the professional beauty therapists, salon owners, is just second to none. I think this is something that the industry needs to shout a bit more, because at its best, obviously not everybody is a good business person. The salon owners, some of them, combine great empathy and care for their customers with some really sharp business practice, really good business practice. And that's very rare in life. No, you often, you look at Alan Sugar and you're fired type of thing, and you think that's how business should be conducted. Clearly, that's make-believe in TV. But the salon sector, beauty and hair, but particularly beauty, have a real care about their customers as their teams. Yeah. And as well as some very savvy business people. And I think we need to shout that more. That's what we're about, to try and boost the market for professional treatments. Yeah.
And as well, I mean, as far as business goes, when I first started in business, it was more really good luck than good management where my business was progressing, and I think it was the passion that drove that forwards rather than having good business acumen.
Well, I think that's true for many people today. Then they start as being a therapist or a hairdresser. Their passion is for those treatments, and they feel that sales is a dirty word. It's not for them. And even now, as you'll know, many people don't always make that successfully. And one of our jobs is to say, well, actually, look, bringing people together And other, you meet some people through your groups as well and through the shows that they do it so well. And hopefully if she can do it, why can't I do it? Why can't I try? Why can't she can motivate her team? Why can't I? And I think that's what we're trying to do with the magazines, the online, and of course the events that we do, is just bring people together so they can learn.
I know since we started doing the Beauty Roundup events at the show, that's what's come out of it, because obviously we put brilliant salon owners on stage showing what they have achieved, and the amount of salon owners, and especially the solo operators, they're just like, I just never thought that I would be able to achieve that. And it's just so inspiring to see so many get inspired.
Yes, I think that is what a lot of people, don't they? They have a bit of a nervousness of asking questions or being in a group or whatever. And your events at Professional Beauty, what they do is allow people just to either sit down and just relax and absorb, or ask those silly questions, which aren't really silly, but they're just nervous of answering in a kind of safe space where they can ask anything they want. And how would you have done this? Or how did you go through this? And as you say, some of the people who we have, some of them are absolutely super, super clever and gone to university. Others have come from nowhere. And really, you see all people of all different walks of life achieve success. Yeah. And that is what's so good about the business itself and the profession, and particularly your events.
And this is what I love. I love the fact that you can have so many different businesses, but everyone's business is totally, not totally different, but has a different journey.
Yes.
I just find that so inspiring. And, you can find that you can have, I can just, from when I was at college, the different paths that the sort of the students that I was with at the time have gone, some have gone into totally different careers. Some have taken, and this is what I absolutely love about our industry, where you can train, but then you can take just one element of it and then go and turn that into a whole career, whether it be nails, whether it be lashes, whether it be facials. I don't think there's many industries. I always say you can't be a plumber and just do pipes. The thing is that, you can take one element and travel the whole world and do so much, or add other elements into your business, change your direction. I mean, for me, obviously I've gone from me on my own, doing some teaching, salon owner, then onto, eventually doing business. And then I had an aesthetic practice, and now obviously doing what I do with Beauty Directors Club and everything. There's just so many different routes that you can go down. I just love our industry.
Yes, and there's an element of sharing that people, look, you do have sometimes somebody next to you that is viciously competing and viciously undermining your business. And that does happen. Let's not pretend it doesn't. But the vast majority of salons I come into, they're not worried about what the person next door does, and they can be complementary. There's a different price point, different service level, and really one of the reasons for the show is to bring people together so we can learn. I find I learn as much from my 22-year-old marketing exec as I could do for a business person that's been in business for a long time. Both have different things to tell me, and I think that is where we bring people together and they discuss things. They realise I picked up that little note. I didn't realise she did it that way. That's a good way. Oh, she had that problem with a member of staff. This is how she dealt with it. That's good. So there's a lot we can share, and I think that's a really big raison d'etre of what we're about.
And we want to end this episode with our very first episode, and that was my very first guest, which was Ronan Percival from Forrest Software. I've known Ronan for many, many years, from when they were a really small company to where they are now. And, the clip that we've chosen really shows how everything's expanded for them. And we talk about the Forest Summit, which started as just a small gathering of, salon owners who were using the Forrest software, to now where it is a 2-day global event. And it is just, it has such an atmosphere, such a buzz. And it takes so much to get that together. And, I just love how Ronan and the team have developed Forrest and just made it where it's still got a family feel, but it's just such a big company now with so many great people involved.
If you're in love with the business, you're going to be more enthusiastic and you're going to be more willing to improve it. And that improvement today, someone could say, well, you need to be very good at hiring therapists, right? And there's probably lots of fantastic salons out there with fantastic salon owners that are good at hiring therapists and have done well through that. But that might be, but maybe you have great therapists, but your salon isn't doing well. It's like you need to have that openness, because it could be anything. It could be, you might need to move premises. You might need to, change how you're doing your marketing. You might need to increase your prices to get a different type of person, a consumer. You might need to, you mightn't be good at hiring anymore, because we were saying, you used to just put a little piece of paper in the window saying, staff wanted, and therapists would walk in. And obviously that doesn't happen anymore. So you have to be willing to, okay, what's the best? How do I do it? How do I hire therapists today? How do I make this feel like the place that they should come and work for, rather than all those other salons we talked about? So I think it's just that openness to learning and being in love with your business and energy, and that high energy that comes from that. And people will follow you. People want to work for you. Customers will want to come in. The customer service is usually better, because if you've a higher energy, people are then given that extra 5% when they're chatting to people. And it comes from that. So it almost, you have to work on yourself, which I think is a lot of what Beauty Directors Club is about, isn't it?
I think everyone always feels like Forrest like a family kind of thing. And I know, now it's like a huge team kind of thing. It's, but there is that enthusiasm and things. And I think that's, what you need to, in any business, have kind of thing. And I know we've spoken about before, we're talking about sort of when you're bringing someone new into the business kind of thing. And what amazed me was that when someone new comes into the business, they still get to spend time with you kind of thing.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
part of the process. And I know when we did the Beauty and the Best books, where we've got so many salon owners, inspirational stories. And when I told you about, you were like, yeah, we need some copies so that we can inspire the sales team, so they know about how salon owners think, and that, where a lot of people would never have thought of using it as an onboarding tool or anything.
Yeah.
It's been.
I love about the book, but it's because it's each chapter is a different story of a salon owner. And they all have such amazing stories, but they've also overcome so many different obstacles, but it brings them to life. And I think that was what that book brings 30 or 25, 22, sorry, in the first one, isn't it? 22 salon owners to life. And to give that, some of them, the sales team would have known some of these people because they'd have sold to them.
Yeah.
But they didn't actually know the full story until they read that. And then they would tell their colleagues. So it was great that way. But I think, there's actually, when it talks about hiring, there's a few things which I think are relevant to anyone even opening a salon. You've talked about, you have values in your salon. And so I remember learning about that quite early on, probably around that time I went to the UK. So probably around 2006, 2007, that, I read about having values in a company and how that enables you to expand the team, but keep the same ethos.
Yeah.
And so we worked out at that time, when there was only 7 or 8 of us, we worked out what the 3 values in Forrest were. But one of them is can-do attitude, which is basically that enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And so we hire people who have that attitude. And we do a lot of, our interviewing process is quite long, and we check with references. Do they give us examples of that? And so people sometimes say, or they say it to me a lot. Oh yeah, I love the way whenever I talk to someone in Forrest, they're so eager to help, and that isn't actually an accident. It's not an accident. It's years of developing the hiring process, and then when they join, to
Yeah.
So you have the right people, and then,
Yeah.
you know, and obviously spending time with them and things like that. So,
But this is the thing, because I think people think of branding and things as if it's just, you know, like logo and just the company. It's not. It's the whole. It's the heart of the company as well, isn't it? It's like everything that goes in to make a company, however small or however large, and that's again, you know, like it's energy, isn't it? Like, you know, you then you just attract the right people around you as well.
Yeah, and you if you're looking, like if you have people who are like whatever we want them to be. So we wanted our team, or we felt our team was that can-do attitude, let's say. We then, other people who are a bit like that, meet people from Forrest and go, I wouldn't mind working there too. And that's the same in the like, we were doing that with 7 people, which is, you know, I think the average size of a salon that uses Forrest has 7 employees in total, right? So that's our average customer would be the same size as that. And you've obviously done it. And I know you talk about with your guys, but yeah, every salon should do that as well. Spend a bit of time. What is it? What is that essence of our business? And then that'll attract other people like that into it.
And that's what I love about salon owners. You know, like we've got great salon owners who've got multi-sites and things as well. And those salon owners still have, like, everyone from that is still enthuses about that company and things. And another thing that, I mean, I love how everyone gets to meet your team as well, because obviously now you have the Forrest Summit. Well, I'm saying now you have it. I mean, that started off again from just... Yeah, it's 8 years now. It was quite a small event when you first started it. And now, I mean, it's a phenomenal
It's
event.
grown a bit. The legs on it are still growing. I know, but like, it was, the first one was about 140 salon owners, I think, and it was. I'll always remember that because it was so intimate, and I got to speak. I think I spoke to every single person at that, you know, over the course of that day. So it's different now. But we're capping it. It's at 600 people now, but we've capped it at that because we feel if it goes beyond that, it'll become just a bit too corporate. You know what I mean? So so we are capped at that now. And at 600, it's just about the right number, that it's still big enough to be able to be able to afford to hire a good speaker, or like many good speakers, obviously, and put on a nice show and, you know, have a crack and obviously have parties and everything that goes on. But still I mightn't talk to every salon owner at that, but like a Forrest team member will talk to everyone. Totally. So everyone will get to talk to a few people from Forrest during the couple of days. And that's really important that we always have that. I feel like if we lose that, we call it the heart of the industry. Yeah. That's what we call it, which is almost similar to what you've just said there. But it's like if you lose that, I think the soul of your business kind of goes out.
And obviously you've taken that the event from 1 day to 2 days. Yeah. And the energy is still as high at the end of 2 days. In fact, probably higher at the end of 2 days. And I know, obviously, we won the local bingo. With and
we're not going to let you guys go to that because it wouldn't anymore.
We had a great time in Milan. I think it's probably the first time someone's claimed the prize.
I still have the postcard on my desk of the three.
You know that postcard. We decided to send a postcard from Milan back to Forrest. Like, wish you were here. Yeah. Literally, I think it took over 2 months for it to get to you.
I know, I didn't understand what it was at first.
We had it tracked, and I don't think it even left the post box for about a month. But we had a great time.
I should have brought it with me, actually. Yeah.
But so Ronan, obviously, 20 years on. Yeah. What's the next plans for Forrest?
We were talking about this. You have to keep things interesting as well. Like, so one of the nice things about owning your own business is there is always new problems and new challenges and new technologies and new things, right? So it keeps it interesting to a certain extent. And like I love doing those 4 years driving up and down the UK selling Forrest. It's one of the most best things I ever did in my whole life. And I met 1,500 salon owners. I spent time in 1,500 salons with owners over those 4 years. Like that's the best education you could ever get. And So there's things like that I've done, but I couldn't do it anymore. After 4 years, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
So you do these things and it's fantastic for periods of time, but you do have to your job needs to evolve to stay fresh and motivated. And what some people do is they sell their business, like they do it for a while, especially in technology, and then they get tired. So they sell the company and they go off and do something else. And I just you never say never. I enjoy it so much that I that doesn't appeal to me. I much prefer to change my job and stay doing it. And so that's so my job today would be different. Obviously I can have time to do this podcast with you, but I spend much more time on the future now. So rather than the day-to-day stuff. And we have a great team who are fantastic at running the business. And so I'm thinking about, what's happening in 2 years' time or next year. And like the tipping thing, is there what's the next thing coming, and all the stuff that's happening in media aesthetic, and there's loads of things happening. Is there better technologies we could do? Is there more marketing tools? What challenges are people having? Obviously we know the challenges with staff. Is there more things we could do there? And I love that because you get to speak to people in the industry, learn about technologies, and then also see some of these ideas come to fruition, which is really creative and
like
nice
you were saying earlier. I think having now those 4 years when you were the 1,500 salons, sometimes it is a bit like you're on this hamster wheel, and I see this all the time with salon owners where they're like on this hamster wheel where they're just doing and going in that growth. And we're talking earlier on about the importance of having some time to think and things, where your gold is like there's still the innovation, the next. I
think that is thinking.
Things.
You need to have space to think.
And I think this is where someone comes to the point where they do think of selling the businesses, where they've lost that and they can't think where to take it to. And I don't know, I can't ever see you getting to that point. I can just always see that there's...
Well, if I get tired, I think you'll know it's the day to stop if you don't want to get out of bed on a Monday to go and do this anymore, because you'll have lost the love, which you talked about. It mightn't happen straight away, but over a few years, that will pervade out through the whole organization. Just like a salon owner who's kind of lost their love for it. The energy goes, and that's the first thing to go, is the energy, and then eventually the salon will go sideways then,
And it's like, and I always like to say this to salon owners, the thing is that like you've got to wake up and love what you do every day. So if you're not loving what you do, you need to start and like change what you do and on like looking in another direction. And I think that's because like, I think going back to salon owners, I think they like think that, what a lot of salon owners are still working with what they were doing a year ago, 2 years ago, where it's like there's just like a big world out there, and there's just so many ways to work now. So many.
And that's the thing, like for anyone who's like, okay, in their business and they're in a rut, which by the way, I've been in ruts. I'm sure you've been in ruts over the 36 years. I've definitely been in ruts over the 20 years.
Sometimes you have to go in rut to come out
the other side and face up to something. So I've been there many times as well. But the industry is an incredible industry, and there's never been so much opportunity. Honestly, like the consumer demand for beauty services has never been as high as it is today. Yeah. So if your business is struggling or in a rut or whatever, there's something you can do to change that, because there is people out there that want to spend money with you, and maybe you're going after the wrong type of client, or a client that doesn't quite exist anymore, or you're not appealing to someone who wants to come and work with you. You can fix those things, and it'll be hard, but when you do fix it, you'll feel amazing, and it'll give you that energy to keep going.